My ex-wife met him on a flight home after visiting her parents. She was in her 40s. He was in his early 20s, fresh out of university. By sheer coincidence, or fate, maybe, they were seated next to each other. They chatted, exchanged numbers. Turns out their parents moved in the same social circle back home. He was heading to the city we lived in for an internship. When I picked her up at the airport, he was right there. She introduced him as a fine young man and suggested we help him settle in. I agreed, thinking nothing of it. I was just being kind. We invited him for dinner on weekends, took him to the beach with us and the kids. Sometimes he tagged along for movie nights, while the ones I wasn't into. My wife even went shopping with him occasionally or to parties I didn't care for. I stayed home with the kids and honestly appreciated the alone time. He was quiet, didn't talk much, just seemed like a polite, slightly awkward kid. I didn't think anything of it. Little did I know, every chance they had, they were sleeping together. They carried on their affair right under my nose in my house, while I was playing the good husband and father. His internship lasted 6 months. Then he moved back home. I thought that chapter was closed. I had no idea they'd stayed in contact. He had caught feelings hard. Somehow, in his young mind, he believed they'd end up together. That once the timing was right, she'd be his. A few years passed. Our marriage ended, not because of the cheating. If you've ever lived with a narcissist, you'll understand. I had no clue at the time about her affair. The truth only came out after the divorce. Friends filled in the blanks. She was a master manipulator and covered her tracks well. I believed everything she said. I trusted her blindly. Too blindly. Her mistake, if you can call it that, was bragging to her girlfriends about her toy boy and the thrills of having a man 20 years younger. One of those friends eventually spilled the truth. That's how I found out. And then came the email. No message, no explanation, just an attachment full of nudes. Photos taken in our bedroom, our living room, and what I assumed was his place. Some were posed, others were raw, graphic from his point of view. I didn't respond. I never even mentioned it to her. We still kept in touch for the kids, but I carried that weight in silence. Turns out, he wasn't the only one. Friends, if you can call them that, made sure I knew just how many times I'd been made a fool of. Apparently, many of them had known for years, but no one said a word. I was the last to know. By then, I was emotionally checked out. Her sleeping around no longer hurt. What stung was realizing I'd spent years believing I had a life partner, a best friend. I was clueless. I ignored red flags, bought her weak lies, and worked myself to exhaustion to provide for a family built on deception. I did everything, sacrificed everything, for a woman who betrayed me in the worst way. The divorce took years to financially recover from. I'm still not healed emotionally, but I've learned how to live with it. And to be honest, I like who I've become more than who I was back then. I'm stronger now, wiser, tougher. The kids grew up well. They stayed close to me, not so much to their mother. I never remarried. Couldn't bring myself to trust again. And those same friends who once stayed silent, they still update me on my ex-wife's escapades like it's breaking news. She didn't change. Still with one main guy and sleeping around. Apparently, everyone's aware and okay with it. The young guy, he moved to a different city, but hooks up with her when he's around. I've heard about threesomes, that she's bisexual,